And joining us right now, the Rothman Orthopedics guest line from your favorite Eagles podcast, Inside the Birds. Adam Caplan, Jeff Mosher. Adam Caplan joins us. What's going on there, Adam?
Mark, good to be back with you. It's been a while. Yeah, we're rolling here in May. We had the draft. Fans are excited. They can't wait to see what this team looks like. And around the league, it was really fascinating what happened. Obviously, the Eagles' big trade was a big one, but it was a fun draft. And I was glad I was able to take it in Las Vegas. And now as I said, we're into May, and we've got the rookie camp this weekend, and all is well.
Mm-hmm. That's right. You're a traveling man out there in Vegas covering the draft, all things NFL draft, of course. And I'm curious, what's the overall? I know this is a very general question, but let's start off with this. What is the overall grade you're giving the Eagles, considering they went in with 10 picks, they came out with 5 players, and then also A.J. Brown. So what type of draft grade are you going with the Eagles?
Yeah, I don't grade them by letter. I do either say thumbs up, thumbs down, solid, good, great. That's the way I look at it. I base it on value and how other teams see it, and do other teams think the team reached or not. I take it more of an analytical view. I would say it was solid. This is the third. This is actually 19, 20, 21, 22. They've spent 3 first-rounders and a second round on 4 straight drafts. So I think a Whiteside in 19 didn't work out. Rager in 20 so far has not worked out. 21, Devontae Smith, that looks like it's going to work out. And 22, A.J. Brown. Gave a first-round pick for. So it's, I don't know what the record is for spending that kind of draft capital in 4 straight drafts, but they've done it. The first pick, Jordan Davis, we're not going to know for a while whether it's going to work out, because unless there's injuries ahead of him, he's not going to play a ton this season. He's expected to start in 23. But it gets back to my point, Mark, about value. The value was he was supposed to be a mid-round pick. That's where he went. The Eagles traded up to 13 to get him. And then, Cam Jurgens, he's a future pick. This is all about the future. The draft is never about this year. If you drafted for 1 year, that front office and staff will be fired within a couple of years. I think people always about, you got to do this, you got to do that. They got to win this year. No, that's not what the draft is. It's nothing to do with it. Mm-hmm. It focuses on the future, and hopefully it does fill a need this year. If it doesn't, that's okay. Again, the first 2 picks are not filling any needs this year. Do the Eagles need an extra D tackle? Sure. But they already have their starting tackles. It's about the future, what that's going to bring, and that the best teams do it like the Eagles did. I've had my criticisms of the Eagles. Mosher and I have since we started Inside the Birds in 18. We call it like we see it. When we think it's good, we call it as good. They did a good job.
Okay. So let's talk about this for a second, because I thought the same way. Like, Cam Jurgens not going to play this year, next year. Even Jordan Davis, he's a work in progress, but I think he will have an impact this year. Maybe not huge, but still have an impact. Sure. When the proof is in the pudding with Nakobe Dean, as far as so many teams passing on him for him to be available again for the Eagles in the 3rd round. The Cam Jurgens pick is the one that kind of made me raise my eyebrows a little bit, because I felt like in the 1st round, the project is too overdramatic a term, but a bit of a project in Jordan Davis, because he'll take time to develop and rotate in. Cam Jurgens, would he have been there in the 3rd round, do you think? Or do you think he would have gone in that 2nd round if the Eagles didn't take him?
Yeah, he was always projected to go in the 2nd round. I mean, we don't know for 100% for sure if another team would have taken him. I think what they pick. I think that one's at 51, if I'm not mistaken. I'll double
51.
check that. Yeah,
51.
But look, it's a situation when you look at what the Eagles were doing. They knew he was the most athletic center for this draft. They knew that he's a guy that everyone in the league liked, some more than others, but every team had a 2nd or 3rd round grade on him. Pretty certain of that. I still believe he was going to go in the 2nd round. Now, the question with him is, can he play guard? I know they say they're going to cross-train him at guard, but we talked to a bunch of teams that liked him a lot as a starting center of the future, and most of those teams felt he would not make it at guard. He's just not big enough or strong enough. He's tall, but he's just not big from a mass standpoint. And that, in fact, one personnel source said that he said it's like Garrett Bradbury, the center for the Vikings, is really talented. He is a smaller center in terms of girth, the mass, and he cannot play guard. He's just a one position only. That's okay. I know the Eagles historically, with Jeff Stoutland, he loves versatility, and Stoutland, we'll see if we can get him to play guard. But he's really going to be a one position player for them for the future.
All right, understood. When it comes to Nakobe Dean, what was your reaction in terms of watching him fall out of the 1st round, out of the 2nd round? Oh, my God, the Eagles are taking a linebacker in the 3rd round here, and that linebacker is going to be Nakobe Dean. As he's falling, were you thinking it was all about the medicals? What were you thinking as you saw him start to fall to the third round?
Well, we were told late one, early two, so I certainly top 40. And then when he went to the third, I was like, okay, what the hell's going on here?
Right.
Yeah, there's always a reason, and the media guesses a lot. We all do, and sometimes we're wrong. So we knew it was injury related. We actually on our Monday morning show we had everything. We said that it went from the pectoral injury was real. He had it during training, but it was not anywhere near as reported or speculated. So what happened was during training leading up to his pro day at Georgia in the middle of March, he got hurt. And then maybe he felt like he could get through it and do the right thing and try to just perform through it. His pro day from multiple sources, particularly one scout who was there, said it was painful watching him. He didn't look right. Obviously it's Nakobe Dean, great player,
right?
First round talent. He suspected to look better, and they didn't know when they saw what happened that he actually was going to deal with a pectoral injury. So that's what happened, Mark. You take his injury history, the minor stuff, then you add this one. He doesn't work out the combine. He has a bad pro day. Well, obviously he's going to drop. He's not going to go in the first round. But you have to project. The draft is all about projection. What's he going to look like because he's a linebacker? The linebacker injury rate is very high. What's he going to look like if you've got him for 4 to 6 years, right? Well, he's probably going to be really good. You may have to limit his practice time sometimes because he's a smaller guy, he's 229 at the combine. His playing weight maybe he gets up to 235, but you just have to understand what he is. What he is a really super smart, intellectual, off the field, super smart, high character, alpha leader. That's what he is, and a terrific football player. As our Georgia football source told us, it was from the defensive side of football, one of the best players that they've coached and during their time under Kirby Smart, maybe the best. So the Eagles got a steal here if he stays healthy.
Gotcha. Speaking of projection, Jonathan Gannon has got himself some tools for the tool shed here, and that adds to a defensive line that already has Fletcher Cox, Javon Hargrave. People know the roster. They're pretty stacked on the defensive line, adding Jordan Davis to that, now Nakobe Dean to their linebacking core. They've already brought in Hassan Reddick. Still looking at corner and safety as the issue, but what are you expecting from Jonathan Gannon for these new pieces to that defensive scheme, for lack of a better term?
It's a great question, Mark. In fact, Mark, I think it's probably, if other than Jalen Hurts and his progression, then I would call it 1A for this football team. What's this defense going to look like? We were told pretty strongly he didn't get to run everything that he wanted, even close to it. He ran a 5-2, more or less a 5-2 front. Not every play was a 5-2, but that's the majority of what they looked at. But it's the way that he deployed the personnel. The lack of blitzing, lack of aggressiveness was not what we were expecting. I don't think anyone who knows Jonathan Gannon, we talked to a bunch of coaches who work with him, that's not what they expected. They expected a combination of Matt Eberflus's defense and Mike Zimmer's blitz scheme. We got none of his blitz scheme. We were told Mike Zimmer's coverages. Okay, great. But where's the aggressiveness? So all the positive talk, I do believe was real. We'll admit it. We talked to people around the league who work with Gannon, and we didn't quite get it, Mark. Let's call it like it is. It's not. He has a good defensive staff. We're told the assistants are great, but it's on him now. They went out and got Jordan Davis, who will help them against the run where they struggled at times. They got pass rusher in Reddick, and they may add another one. The defense is going to be healthy. Brandon Graham confirmed this week he's ready to go. So I understand it's Achilles injury. It's one thing to say it, but you got to go do it. But the fact of the matter is, defense has more talent. There are no more excuses. It's got to be better. Love
it. And I love the idea of the 1 and 1A in terms of, what's it going to look like when the season actually starts. And Jalen Hurts is right there as well. They've stocked up for weapons for him as well. I mean, you already have Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown. Again, I'm not going to go over the whole roster, but they've went out of their way to give Jalen Hurts some weapons here going into his second season. How much of it will be him rising to the occasion of cashing in on these weapons, and how much of it will be him putting in the work in the offseason to make sure that he actually does make good on that work? Yeah, look, you don't worry about his work ethic and character. That's all good. It's mechanically he had some issues. The reason why he got third and fourth round grades from teams like the Eagles, who took him in the second, is simply because the Eagles liked him as a backup, but teams saw him as a third or fourth round pick. Why?
Mechanically, he wasn't great. Not a real tall guy at 6'1". Doesn't have a great arm. Decent enough arm strength. He can make most throws. But you worried about the inaccuracy. Now, there's some reasons that there's some good at building excuses. Not playing in the same offense, either transferring, going back to high school and grade school, not being able to play in the same offense for very much in his career. That's fair. It's a good excuse, but we're in the National Football League. It will not fly anyway, Mark, this season. If he doesn't play well, he won't. There's zero chance he'll be the starter in 23 unless he plays well, because you set it up well. They've done what they can for him. He's got the NFL's best offensive line. You saw how great the running game was when he took the ball out of his hands, because he wasn't throwing the ball well to start the season. There are no more excuses. He's got to play well. He will not be the starter in 23.
I could not agree more. I'm rooting like hell for the guy, and I'm just hoping this is the year that he cashes out. When it comes to cornerback and safety, to flip back from the defense to the defense, is the answer on this roster right now, or is this somebody they're going to have to go out and get somebody?
In terms of the secondary?
In terms of the secondary, cornerback, safety, what are they going to do to try to solve that problem, if it is a problem at all?
Yeah, well, we reported about Marcus Williams' contract offer. He was offered somewhere in the neighborhood of $14 million a year, and he went to the Ravens. They had a, I would call, passing interest in the Honey Badger, who signed with the Saints. They were not going to pay him anywhere close to what he was looking for. They were looking for a 1-year solution until they could figure out who the young safety would be.
Right.
So they really they'll be able to line up right now at safety. Marcus Epps, who they like. If the season started today, would be with Anthony Harris, but we'll see. I would expect them to add a safety. I can't tell you when that's going to be. Again, there are no games until September. I know it's hard for Moshe and I to accept that, and fans to accept that, but I get it. We've been told this repeatedly. The roster will still look a little different when they get to September. What that looks like and how they get it, I couldn't tell you. They don't know, so we don't know, but they know that they have to do something. But the big one where they're going to do something is at cornerback. They know this. Again, they made the trade in 17 for Ronald Darby in August of 17, which turned out to be a pretty good move. I'm not saying that's the wait till that long. Now, it's a pretty deep free agent group that's out there. There's a reason why these guys are out there. Injury history, age, I get it, Mark, but they have to do something. They cannot line up right now to have a starting corner opposite Slay. They don't have one, so they're going to have to get one on the outside. They're good at slot corner. That won't be a problem. But if we had our druthers, they would sign 2 or trade for 1 and sign 1, whatever they need to do. But if they want to be a solid playoff team, they have to do something at corner.
I couldn't agree more. You said Marcus Epps is their favorite at the safety spot. What's the word on Kayvon Wallace? Because I know a lot of people in the city, they just want Brian Dawkins again, and I know that's a huge ask. But if you've met Brian Dawkins like Kayvon Wallace knows him well, then it only makes people want you to be that great even more. So, what's the word on him? Does he have a chance of getting that starting safety spot? What do you think?
Yeah, he's more of a box safety, not a great coverage safety. In today's NFL, you got to be able to do both. And he's just he hasn't really contributed much. He had a couple of minor injuries, but he has not been what they thought so far. There's 2 years left on his deal, and he'll have a chance to earn he'll have a chance right now to be their third safety. Can't say that'll happen in training camp. It depends if they add a safety. There's always a scenario where they don't add a safety, that they want to go with these younger guys to compete behind Epps. That's their prerogative. But if you want to be a solid playoff team, you're going to go add a safety who's like Tashawn Gibson would be a really good safety. He's an older guy who's really smart, who's got 1 or 2 years left in him. We saw this. We've seen this with safeties over the years with the Eagles. You could go back. I'm so old. I remember Tim Houck. Mark, I don't know if you remember Tim Houck.
I remember Tim Houck. Sure, yeah.
And he's guy that he got from Green Bay, who became a coach on Doug Peterson's Super Bowl winning staff. Yeah. By the way, he was supposed to join Doug Peterson, I'm told, but it wound up not happening for a couple of reasons. But fact of the matter is, the guys are out there and they can do something. Yeah. Because in the end, Mark, it's always about trying to be the best team you can be, and not. It's one thing to want to look at younger players, but you have to also understand what they are. There's a saying in the National Football League with personnel: you got to know what a guy is and isn't, and that's kind of where they're at.
Yeah, if you talk about the safety position, I mean, the guy I really first remember watching with regularity was Mike Zordich. Exactly. Yeah, there you go. Adam Caplan, Inside the Birds podcast. Make sure you guys are listening to Adam. Make sure you guys are listening to Jeff Mosher as well for all things Eagles coverage from now for the season forever, as you should be. Adam, now that work's out of the way, what are we going to do with the Sixers? What's happening there? At the time we tape this, we don't know about Joel Embiid Game 3 or not. But when it comes to concussion protocol, the broken face, everything, what are we going to do with James Harden? What are we going to do with Doc Rivers? What's going on there?
Yeah, I've been a quasi Doc Rivers apologist. However, I don't. He needs to understand. I'm not going to curse here. I just cursed twice on Inside the Birds this morning.
Oh my goodness, Adam!
Yeah, I try not to. I do a couple times a year. People seem to love it when I do that because it's so they can't believe I curse. I'm like, come on, I'm a human being. We don't want. I'm passionate, man. I'm fulfilling suburbs. But the fact of the matter is, Mark, I called it perfectly. I said the Sixers can hang in there. I knew they'd fall in the second half because they have no go-to guy. Embiid. Harden's not the same player he once was. I think we all know that. He worked great off of Embiid because Embiid draws so much attention. Harden will not be doubled when he drives as much. Certainly won't be doubled on the perimeter. And then you got guys like Niang, who's a good bench player. Who has he hit a shot in the first?
He's
game?
1 for 10 from beyond the arc. He was 1 for 3 last night.
And then Danny Green gets every wide open shot. I mean, he was great in the other series. He couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. 2 for 14,
Adam. Terrible, 2 for 14.
Look, that's part of it, but they just have no firepower. And I'm a big Daryl Morey fan, but you know what? And I understand what he had to give up. He had to give up Drummond. I get it. They have no backup center. See, the thing about sports is we have to understand. We could all like Paul Reed as much as we do. Paul Reed's a ninth man, no better. That's what he is.
Mm-hmm.
You have to again, it's understanding what a guy is. He'll never be any better than ninth man. He can't shoot very well. He's very foul prone, and there's certain things he could do within 10 feet. I get it, but at a team like this has zero bench, he's got to play. I get it, but Morey's got a big job in his hands next year. I'm not going to say they've overachieved. They're going to lose in the second round, and I hope they win a game. And if Embiid comes back, gets cleared out of concussion protocol, he'll wear a mask because he's got a fracture. But the fact of the matter is this team is woefully inadequate on their bench. It's hard for them to compete at a high level. Miami's way better than them. I know people brought up Miami went through a funk, Mark, if you remember, late in the season where they could have lost to a college team. They got blown out here when Embiid and Harden didn't play. They just had a bad 2-week stretch where you're like, what is wrong with this team? And then they turn it on. Now they're playing almost perfect basketball. And by the way, it was a big thing as they're moving Duncan Robinson out of the rotation and Hero coming off the bench and moving Max Strus as a starting 2 guard. You wouldn't think that would work. It's been unbelievable. Great job by Spoelstra and his staff, and to cover, to finish this off. The Sixers are getting what they deserve. There's no reason for them to think they could win a game in Miami without Embiid. I know they're trying hard. I give them credit, but they're undermanned. They have a terrible bench. The worst, I think. I watch more NBA than most people. If they don't have the NBA's worst bench, they certainly have one of the worst. And Korkmaz, I know he had a couple shots in the last game, but his regression, Shake Milton's regression, it's absolutely killed this team.
If they're not the worst, they're playing as the worst right now. That's the way I'll put it. Adam Caplan, always great catching up with you. I'm sure we'll talk to you down throughout the offseason, all things Eagles, and then also get your piping hot takes, and maybe we'll both curse on this show one time.
Yeah,
just for fun.
Right. With bros. Let's get bros. The three of us.
Let's get bros. And we'll just start dropping horrible language.
I love his faces. I love the facial expression.
He is a master of the facial expressions. Adam Caplan, Inside the Birds podcast. Always great catching up with you. Thanks so much for being on the show again. And I know we'll talk to you down the line. And best of luck, obviously. And make sure you guys are all downloading and listening to Inside the Birds podcast with Adam Caplan and Jeff Mosher. Adam, thanks so much, brother. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
The great Adam Caplan joining us on the Rothman Orthopedics guest line.